pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Ms. Augustine, opening statement, please.
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been faxed, emailed by the Board Secretary on May 12, 2020 to the Courier Post and posted on the school's bulletin board. Notice was also faxed and emailed to the Borough Clerks of Hynella, Laurel Springs, Magnolia, Summerdale, and Stratford.
Thank you. Roll call vote for attendance.
Mrs. Berkeley? Here. Mr. Clark?
Here.
Mrs. Miller? Here. Mr. Nicholas?
Here.
Mrs. Oaksenbrandt?
Here.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Here.
Mr. Sims is absent. Ms. Stout?
Here.
Mr. Hiltner?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Let me see if I can get this straight here. For the first time in months, we're having a meeting in person. However, if you were unable to attend, I'm addressing the community now. If you were unable to attend tonight, please feel free to either call in or email questions or concerns on any item on the agenda. That phone number, once again, is 856-882-1126. Or if you'd rather email, it's public comments at sterling.k12.nj.us. One more time, 856-882-1126, or public comments at sterling.k12.nj.us. Okay, do we approve minutes first, or do we do visitors' comments first? Which is it? Visitors' comments, yeah. I see no visitors, but we'll open it up anyway to visitors' comments. Do we have any callers? Paul, you'll keep track?
The phone will ring if anyone calls in.
1 minute?
We'll get 1 minute.
Sure.
All right, we're at the 50-second mark and no callers. Okay, there's no minute.
Oh, hearing and or seeing no comments, questions, we'll move on. I should apologize in advance here. When I wear this mask and my glasses at the same time, they fog up and I can't see a damn thing. Excuse me. I'm trying to do the best I can here, so if I get stymied for a while, you'll know why. Okay, we need someone to make a motion to approve 2 sets of minutes. The regular meeting on July 23rd and the special meeting on August 11th. Do we have to do these separately?
No.
Together?
So moved. Second.
Questions, comments, concerns on the minutes? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oaksenbrandt?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Sheehan, I believe it's up to you here, right?
Yes, sir. Here we go. Okay, welcome everybody. It's been since, I believe, March 5th since we've been in person, so it's great to see everybody. I feel like a seasoned superintendent at this point. We have on our intro here is projected enrollment so far with our students. 918 students we're expecting enrolled at Sterling. 530 have indicated they want to sign up for the hybrid. 296 full remote. We're still pending about 90 registrations. And we're reaching out. We're hoping these numbers are going to improve as we finish up this school week. New teacher orientation was held July 16th, also August 24th through the 27th. We have 8 new members of the staff. I think the highlight for me personally is taking them on a tour of our community, let them know where the students are coming from, and visiting the neighborhood schools. So I think that's a nice part of the trip. The teacher in-service orientation is taking place this week, September 1st through the 4th. Kudos to Mr. Claiborne on his leadership, the admin team, the committees, the maintenance staff, technology, on having our building ready this week. We can see a great change in the energy of the building. The staff seems to be growing in confidence every day on the plan that we have and the preparation that we've gone through this summer. So we're very excited about it. We can't wait to see our students next week. Information about the opening of school is sent home to the parents in August, and we continue to reach out and communicate with them about remote learning assignments, and we'll see them next week for orientation. So the first student day was the 3rd. They were emailed last night of several assignments. My daughter being one of the ones who received that, finished her assignments last night. My son is going to probably get to them this weekend, so this is at their own pace. And number 7, we have the annual Hib Report. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to thank Mrs. Eppright, the guidance department, for an outstanding job doing an assessment, and for their annual Hib Report. We scored a 77 out of 78, and we're going to work as hard as we can to maintain, if not improve, that number. On a sad note, I would like to extend condolences to Mr. Dave Zagrino's family. Mr. Zagrino is a lifelong resident of Magnolia. He worked for the Delaware River Port Authority, I believe, and then he worked in our maintenance department. He was a big fan of everything Sterling High School, especially athletics, watching his grandkids play sports here. And if you recall, Dave's maybe the only person I know, Mr. Zagrino, only person I know who rode his bike around the hallways when he was cleaning up the classrooms after school. So condolences to the Stites, the Farmers, the Bellingers, and the Zagrino families on the passing of Mr. Dave Zagrino. Okay.
Okay. Items requiring board action, Human Resources, Mrs. Miller.
I'd like to move item 1A through J, please. Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? Nope. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, education, Mrs. Oxenbrand.
Thank you. I'd like to move items 2A through I, please.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Questions, concerns on these items?
May I compliment on the amount of students who are being refunded for the AP exams? It was really gratifying to see how well they all did.
Certainly, we'll extend that to the staff and students. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, I believe we have an addendum too, right, ma'am?
Yes, we do.
There we go. Education, Mrs. Oxenbrand.
I'd like to move item 1A, please.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin? Questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Human Resources again, back to you, Mrs. Miller.
I'd like to move item 2A and B, please.
Second.
Questions? Nope. Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Ms. Augustine, Board Secretary report.
Okay. Just a reminder on the top of the informational items there that the School Boards Association workshop is going to be virtual. And I know that one of the agenda items is to approve everyone to be able to participate in that virtual conference as well. And then one other comment too, just for informational items as well, is that The state did, the Department of Agriculture did extend the free lunch services through December 31st as well. So that notice will be going out in the near future as well.
Very
Can I ask a question? Is that for everyone?
Mhm.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
I know it was mentioned last night, but I didn't catch it. It was
Yeah.
for everyone and people who just registered.
I know the cafeteria is thrilled that they don't have to designate
Yeah.
the
it's
different
awesome.
types of students getting meals.
Okay, we need a motion to approve the bill.
Motion.
Second.
Questions on the bill list? No. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
I'd like to abstain from bill list number 10, and yes to everything else.
Okay. Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hilton?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we need a motion for another set of board action items.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, concerns with any of these items?
That was
No,
1A
again?
through number 10.
Beg your pardon?
I was just clarifying that's items 1A through 10.
1A through 10.
Right.
Correct. Questions, concerns? Nope. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Mrs. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we have some more items on the addendum, Board Secretary's addendum. We'll need another motion for those. 1, 2, 3.
Motion.
Second.
Got them both? Okay. Any questions, concerns on these items?
I just had a question about number 3.
Okay.
Redoing the roof, is that going to impact any, the school usage or anything like that while the kids are here redoing the roof? Or was that already done?
No, it has not been done. That was part of the storm damage, so it's actually still going through the insurance company, and they should, by mid-September, send us the money in order to do that, authorize the approval on that. So it has not even been scheduled yet, so being able to approve this now, we'll be able to contract with,
As soon as the funds, okay.
yeah. That's on the maintenance garage, which is in the back,
By the,
Yeah.
the baseball field?
yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Berkeley?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Nicholas?
Yes.
Mrs. Oxenbrand?
Yes.
Mr. Radcliffe?
Yes.
Ms. Stout?
Yes.
Mr. Hiltner?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excuse me. Committee reports, education, Mrs. Oxenbrand.
Thank you. We had a meeting last night, as a matter of fact. We were apprised of the AP results, the Hib information, compliments to Ms. Epright, by the way. Information on fall sports, revised policies, having to do with student masks and our full remote learning opportunities. We discussed use of facilities for outdoor and indoor, and we got the great news about the meals being distributed to all our students, so it was a good meeting.
Okay. Human resources, Mrs. Miller.
The Human Resources Committee met last night as well, and we discussed the shared service agreement with Somerville Borough and Park School, among other things.
Okay. Mr. Sims took a good night off here. He had no operations activity here. All right, that brings us up to visitors' comments, 5-minute limit. That would apply to anybody in the room here, as well as you out there in Sterling High School communities. Please call us if you have a question on anything up to this point, 856-882-1126, or email public comments at sterling.k12.nj.us.
question. Come on, make the phone ring. All right. We're starting a new school year under these conditions. Any questions? They say the questions for you. I had a chance to join the meeting last night,
Okay, Mr. Hilton, that's 1 minute.
Minutes up?
Minute is up.
Okay, hearing none. Old new business, if you don't mind, I'd like to kick it off. Matt, could you update us on what's going on out back here, where we stand with
Hey,
various?
we got something.
Big pardon?
No, we don't.
Oh. We thought
The line is going.
Can you catch us up, bring us up to speed on out back, where we stand with the solar and all that stuff?
Okay, so our parking lot and access road, it's almost complete. We have a punch list item, we have to do a little walkthrough, but the parking lot, access road itself, they're paved. We're going to start, the staff will start in the parking lot next week. Some touch-up items with some of the sod, some of the fence work. So we're hoping to have everything wrapped up, cleaned up, ready to go soon. Hopefully by next week when we start bringing our students in. So it looks great, and I think, as they say, don't let perfect get in the way of very good. I think it's going to be a great addition to our Sterling community. It's going to be very welcoming for residents coming from Laurel Road, and we're going to try to utilize that as best we can for not only our staff, our spectators, but our students. The cafeteria area is phenomenal, the outdoor eating area. So maybe at some point we can do a little tour with the Board of Education. We'll try to do a proper opening to give it the recognition that it is due. So on behalf of the administration teachers, I want to thank you guys for supporting that project. And I think it'll really save Mr. Manlove a lot of golf cart rides and fights over the access gate, which is now going to be in the back. So it's really going to be a nice addition.
So the new parking lot will accommodate some, half, most, all the teachers on a daily school day?
What we're going to do is, I think because we're on this hybrid schedule, we're going to allow teachers to choose where they want to park. And we envision members of our staff coming from Laurel Road to opt to park there so they don't have to come through the center of the school, or probably our PE staff and maybe some coaches, just because it's an easier access to the playing fields. We may mess around with the idea, if it's not too full, is to have residents coming from Stratford, Laurel Springs, to do a drop-off there as well, so that they're not encountering the front of the school. So it gives us a lot of open spaces, a lot of options. So we're going to see how it plays out and then determine who's going to park there. Obviously, after school, it's open for our spectators to come and park, and anyone else that wants to come up and use the facility.
Now, I haven't been over there in a while, but what about that little auxiliary parking lot that was always there in the back where staff pulled in and officials pulled in? Is that gone?
It is still there. We envision using it just for our maintenance personnel and our first 2 cafeteria workers, and then contractors that happen to come in. School buses can still go back there. So it's still quite useful, but now with the additional 70 or so spots, we can really keep a lot of traffic from the back of the building.
So the staff, whether they're coaching or not, is not invited to park back there?
No one's back there except our trainer, athletic director, and maintenance and cafeteria personnel.
Okay.
Are we gonna allow the public back there for for instance, I know Tarkle Soccer using the fields, or they can have access to that as well?
The community will have access to it after 2:30 on weekends if there happen to be events here. If someone wants to come use the running track, the gates will be on lockdown. Like, they couldn't access parts of the building from 7:30 to 2:30, but then we open up the gates and it's open to the community when we have a high school event. We anticipating for football games, we could balance our parking situation on both sides of the campus now, and we have 2 sets of ticket takers, ticket sellers, all those things.
Different entrances.
Yeah, it's really it really is a great addition to the facility, and it's really going to balance out our parking needs.
Great. Do we want to touch on the other part of this, the fact that we were disappointed that they didn't meet their deadline? We don't want to touch on that?
No, like Matt said, it's done. Projects are always a little rocky at the end, and we're just about there. So I think that's the message for tonight.
Let it go at that, okay. That's all I had. We'll go alphabetically. Is it Mrs. Berkeley first, I think?
Just say good job getting everything together for school, for back to start in these crazy times. And good luck.
Thank you. Mr. Clark?
Just as an incoming, parent of an incoming freshman, I want to commend Matt, Jerry, and your staff. my son feels comfortable, which is the most important thing, eager to get back, and he feels he's prepared to show up on Monday and know what is expected of him and what he can expect. So that's a big thing to make a teenager feel comfortable. So kudos to everyone involved.
Thank you. Mrs. Miller?
I just want to wish everybody a good school year under these crazy circumstances.
That's it. Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah, just to echo Mr. Clark's comments, I too have a freshman coming in, so he's very excited and anxious to get back into some normality, so to speak. So I want to give everyone some thanks and kudos to really, I think the student body will be very excited and adaptable, but I think they're anxious to get back. So best of luck with hurdling that with them.
The fact that you two have freshmen in high school tell me you're getting old. Who are we up to here? Looks like Mrs. Oberson Brown.
I was telling Jared earlier, I have friends who are in other high schools, and the stories of their time, some of them are real nightmares. So the fact that we are so well prepared for our students and have prepared our staff so well just speaks volumes of the closest of your staff and the leadership from both of you. So kudos.
Thank you. Mr. Radcliffe?
I would agree with everyone's statements. I think we've done an awesome job. I think there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. We get weekly updates from that. But I can imagine what has to happen to create an update that we receive. So very much appreciate everyone's efforts. And good luck. I mean, I think we're prepared. So good job.
Mrs. Stout, right?
Yes. So I am a senior this year, so we're in a different perspective because, last year's seniors, wasn't what they expected. I think this group of seniors know already it's not going to be the norm, which is good. But I think that he's excited to, finish his time here at Sterling this year. I just have a question though. Of the 530 students that are coming, what is the distribution between the 2 days? Like, is it balancing out that we're getting it's going to be 225 kids each day, or is it heavy on one side?
No, it's very balanced.
Very balanced. Okay.
Very balanced, yes, and we're carefully watching that as we have entertained and accommodated some requests, like if you had siblings of different last names, or we've had an occasional, Somerville Park student that has a certain schedule, we've been able to match up with that. But we were very careful to watch that if we move from blue to silver, that they're maintaining balance.
Awesome.
And if I can offer one thing, Mr. McCullough did a percentage yesterday. The blue students, 98% of the classes are less than 15 students. The silver, it's 99%. So we imagine with students opting for remote, those percentages will stay high and the numbers may go down to 12 or 10 or 9, where we're going to have a very open room,
Awesome.
which is good.
I have one more thing I forgot. So I know that we just mentioned Park Hill, and I know we discussed it last night. Are we not approving the usage at all of any of the facilities?
At this point, no outside use of facility.
No matter who it is, there's no teams besides the Sterling teams.
That's correct.
To be on using on this.
That came up yesterday, I think, at
I know it was
education.
on the last meeting agenda. We discussed it with a table on it, but
I think the bottom line is we just can't control the outside groups and what they do here,
absolutely. I just wanted to make sure.
at least at the moment. Come winter, maybe things will change, who knows?
I have another comment as well, and again, might be thinking a little ahead. So let's say we get past this. So is there thoughts of a phased-in approach to get things back to 100% normal, or is that the committee still going to be active to kind of talk and consider that? Because obviously, if we get to March, April, is it going to be a phased-in approach, or is it a light switch to get everyone back in?
We're ready for full in-person, hybrid, remote. We're hoping that students who are on remote, if things go well, they'll opt to come back, and we can control that process. So again, it's not going to be 1,000 students in one day, but we do have a plan that we have to, and again, following CDC, state, local guidelines, we'll be sure to be on top of it.
You just can't turn a switch.
Right.
And that'll largely be dependent on Department of Education guidance, because right now it doesn't allow you to operate at full capacity. So I would imagine that you're not looking at, I would imagine you're not looking at any guidance that gives you that flexibility this calendar year at least. Everyone seems to think maybe next year things will look different, but you know, I think at least until January 1, this is what you guys are gonna look like, so.
You don't
but-
think it'll change at all this year?
Not by January, no, not calendar year.
2020.
School year,
That's what I'm-
yeah. I mean, I think it will change. I think it will change every 2 weeks in some
No, I
unforeseen way, but
I was like, wait, what? Oh,
in terms of getting back up to full capacity, it's anybody's guess at this point.
And
You know.
now, I just asked another question off of this question, is like, so things don't go back to normal, like, we do have a couple cases in the store, are we shutting down and going full, I mean, what's the plan?
We've been given guidance from the local and state health departments on different scenarios and how we respond to those. So there are situations where it would be, a class quarantine, but then there's also scenarios where you're going to shut down the building. So,
Yeah, it's like professional sports teams are
Yeah.
shutting teams down for 2
I mean,
weeks.
Temple University too, I mean, they had to
Yeah.
shut down.
and the nice thing is, the students still follow that remote schedule, are still getting education.
Which is great,
their
the
days.
tools we have, and that's what I was gonna ask Jared too, on the orientation for the new software. Have we had any of them yet, or they start this week?
So the teachers were all trained this week,
Okay.
and then they're able now to turnkey to the students beginning next week.
Matt, Jared, our PPE is all in-house and ready to go. We have plenty of supplies and everything.
Yes, we do. We have 5 of those kiosks in the building at every entryway. We also have the handheld ones if need be. Every classroom has a dispenser for wipes and there's mobile sanitation dispensers throughout the building. We have.
Custodial staff has been fully trained on cleaning processes in the building after kids go
So
home.
I know we had these discussions already, but now that we're really going, this is happening, right? So, who's cleaning between classes?
So, Mr. Clifford, you want to talk about some of the training you've done this week with the staff, and we'll do it with the students as well.
Yes, sure. So in between classes, that was a big question mark that we had for the local county. And our approach was to allow the staff and the students coming into a classroom to clean their space as they change in between classes.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why each is outfitted with its own canister of wipes. We have mobile hand units for the disinfecting cleaner, and then each night our facility is fully cleaned afterwards. And that's a normal process. It's just to a heightened level.
Right.
And then
Wednesday's
maintenance.
full clean day, right?
The other 2 pieces of maintenance, they worked into their schedule where they're regularly moving through the hallways and wiping handles, things like that. And then additionally, we opened up a second set of bathrooms so that we can alternate bathrooms so that the bathrooms are clean throughout the day.
They go to the gym, you wipe any equipment when you're done.
Yeah.
Are the weights, are they weights that they can be touched by your hands, or they're going to be wearing gloves?
No, they're touchable and they meet whatever the percentages of the CDC guideline.
All righty, last call for the good of the order here. I understand we have no need for executive session, correct?
That's correct.
So before we make a motion to adjourn, please note that it's 7:29 for Mr. Sims, and we're out of here. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye. Great job. We'll see you on the 17th, right?
17th, that's right.
Good job, everyone.
Good job.